Thank you for tuning in to our discussion today. We're joined by our lovely speakers, Maya Sarkozy and Angel Mel. So we're at the Plough Inn, a much-loved pub in the heart of Easton. We'd like to thank the Plough because it kindly supported our journey at Lady of the House during our Kickstarter campaign. So we were raising £25,000 to cover the cost of printing and publishing the book. And we're very thankful for the Plough for supporting us in that journey and just bringing the book to life. A bit more about Lady of the House. It's an upcoming storytelling photo book with over 150 women in dance involved. So we interviewed over 150 women that are involved in dance music, including DJs, venue owners, label managers, singers, vocalists, and generally women from all parts of dance music. This book is written by Layla Mackenzie and Ian Snowy Snowball, and it includes legendary icons such as Charlotte DeWitt, Nina Kravitz, Jocelyn Brown, and Sam Divine. We're really excited as the book is being released very soon on the 11th of November, and you can pre-order your copy now at www.ladyofthehouse.org.uk. So among the 150 women that we interviewed for this book, there's some legendary black and brown women who have contributed so much to the legacy of dance music, and we're very happy to celebrate their achievements and their story. This brings me on nicely to our two wonderful speakers that are joining us today. This discussion is part of celebrating Black History Month. It's focusing on the experiences of black and brown women that work in the music industry. So it will be fantastic to chat to you about your journey and how you got into the music industry and how you've been finding it. So I'm going to kick things off and introduce myself first before I introduce my speakers. So my name's Eleanor Perso. I'll be moderating and guiding the discussion today. I'm the project manager at Lady of the House, and I basically deal with all things to do with organisation and logistics, whether that is the book, organising panels, discussions such as the one today, or working on partnerships. I'm also a techno DJ and producer and perform and write music under the alias The Yard Woman. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Maya Sarkozy, who is our marketing manager at Lady of the House. Maya has been doing a fantastic job with marketing and promo for the book, growing our social channels and making the Lady of the House movement what it is today and reaching as many people as possible. So I'd like to thank you, Maya, for all that you've done for the brand. And I'd like to introduce Angel Mel, who is a professional DJ, radio presenter as well. She's hosted shows at Ujima Radio and BBC Radio Bristol, and she's also a TV presenter based in the heart of Bristol. For over 7 years, she's been promoting and amplifying women within the music industry via the Spread Love show on Ujima Radio. And yes, you've also featured Layla Mackenzie on your show, right? Interviewing
lots
her.
of times, yeah.
And yeah, we'd like to thank you for that and
pleasure.
for providing a platform. So I'd like to start off by asking you, Maya, where you're from. What's your connection to Bristol and how you kind of got into the music industry?
Cool. My connection to Bristol, born and bred.
Mm-hmm.
How I started in the music industry is my mother used to do treatments for Layla Mackenzie, co-author of Lady of the House, of course. So I was working at a bar, and Layla was actually throwing an event there, and I've always wanted to be in the music events industry, and my mum knew that as well, so I was working with my mum at the time. And my mum hasn't seen her for a few years, and she said, oh, like, do you want to take Maya in for some work experience? And she's like, yeah, get her in, and then that's how I come in here. So yeah, Layla's took me on as our little apprentice, and it's just gone from there. We've done so much, with events, artist management. Lady of the House came quite quickly as well, and that was amazing. And yeah, that's where it all began.
Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Maya. What about you, Angel?
Well, I was born in Bristol and raised in Bath, but I've always had super close connections with Bristol, especially Easton and St Paul's. I spent a lot of my formative years stomping around, especially in the Plough and around these ends. I moved to St Paul's about 4 years ago, so I've literally just like come back home because my mum and my family are all from that area. I've been working in music 7 years. It feels like it was longer, and started off really in promotion. That was the main thing. Massive passion for music, going to festivals, specifically Sun City in Croatia, Southport Weekender, and just being heavily involved in the promotion around that, writing music reviews and interviewing artists and so on and so forth. And I just kept following that feel good feeling. And I was in a job that I hated, but that what was balancing it up was all this work I was doing within the music industry. So following on from that, I went from events promotions to Good Vibrations, which was massive. Sean McCabe and Deli G and Ben Daly, some of the nights actually here at the Plough, which has been cool in the last few years. And it's just built. I became a DJ by accident.
By accident?
Completely by accident, through the person, Gavin Kendricks, my little earth angel, who Layla knows very well, who, when I used to go out into Croatia, he would program like all the DJs, and he knew how much I loved it, and he just hit me up one day and he said, would you be interested in DJing in Ibiza? I'm not even being near the decks. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's
God's honest.
first gig.
It was a stunning beach club restaurant. I didn't know really what to do, and he said, all that matters is that you know really good music, and that is how it started. It took me a few years to become, believe that I was a DJ. I had imposter syndrome for a while, but been doing it professionally now for at least, it's got to be 7 years, like a long time.
Wow.
But yeah, it's extraordinary, and through that journey I met Layla Mackenzie when I worked for BCFM, and we got to know each other because I interviewed a guy called Gerald, and then from that that friendship grew, and we've been hanging out with each other and supporting each other ever since.
Wow.
There's a lot. I wanted to try concise it.
Definitely. And I think that having the ability to have different choices to explore different parts of the music industry, different roles until you find the correct one, is really important. Just having the choice.
I love it all. The radio presenting is a massive passion of mine, as is the DJing, and sometimes they jostle for position, but as long as I'm kind of immersed in music and helping to lift vibrations and help people have a good time, especially now for the last 2 years, it's like a godsend.
So I wanted to ask you, because you've been in the music industry for quite a few years, have you found that there are more initiatives supporting women and black and brown women specifically as the years go by? Have you seen more initiatives come across?
There's always been, I think the last maybe 7-8 years, I've been collectives in and around Bristol. I would say that they're more for women, and with an X, and people from the non-binary community, such as Saffron Records, which does huge things for women and non-binary population in Bristol, with their mix nights, with their support, with their production courses, with their mentoring as well, which is brilliant. There used to be Bristol Women in Music, but I don't know if that's going anymore.
I'm not sure.
I did try and have a look because they were huge, but I think maybe they've taken a back seat. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but what I've noticed, not only in Bristol but around the country, I'm part of a female collective called Eavesdrop, and we're based, there's some of us in Bristol, Wales, Manchester, London, Leeds, so we've brought together, but we're more of the left side of the music, and our kind of strapline is that we felt that, like this round talk is about, that women of colour were unrepresented in the music industry, and when we were visible, it was either overly sexualised or to be playing a certain kind of music, which we didn't feel like we fit into, and we've been together 2 years. We got together at the just before the first lockdown, and we were due to play at the We Out Here festival, but we finally played it this year, and that was our first festival together, which was amazing. It was really, really good. But here in Bristol, I know there's Concrete Gals, or I think Concrete Gals that do amazing.
Jungle.
Yes,
Yes,
well
yeah.
done, thank you. I was like, which one is it? Who are doing amazing things, obviously, with jungle and dancehall music. Naya with Booty Bass as well, really strong representation with what she's doing on the scene, kind of taking ownership of a lot of bass-driven music that again had quite sexualized sort of content, but taking it back and delivering it from an all-female perspective is really good. And I think that's just touching the iceberg. I think there's probably quite a few more that are coming up. There are more and more collectives and people talking and working together, especially within the Bristol area.
Definitely. I was actually yesterday in a meeting with Saffron, because they have a project that's called the Artist Development Project, and it's especially for like enhancing the career of like up and coming black and brown women producers in the southwest. And they actually said quite a scary statistic that less than 1% of music producers are black and brown women, which I just thought like
it's hardly 1%.
Less than 1%. It's not even less than 1%. That's crazy.
And then you add that, you know, being women as well, they're just, visibility wise, you just don't see us. We've all been fighting to get more representation on lineups of festivals and stuff, which is increasing, but that's been quite slow. Like, come on everybody, like dig a little bit deeper, be curious, you know, about the length and breadth of the talent that's represented, especially in Bristol.
So much as well.
Loads in Bristol. And
like the good thing is that like Lady of the House also includes so many black and brown women and their stories. So I wanted to ask you, Maya, like working as part of the Lady of the House team and like obviously reading all of these stories before they've been out and just hearing the interviews and stuff, like how's your experience been and has that been empowering for you being a part of that team?
My experience being a part of the team has been amazing. It's been incredible. I've learned so much about dance music through doing the interviews, reading through the interviews whilst editing them. Every day in Office of Layla, obviously she's a walking book herself with all the history of it, so I've just learnt so much. I had quite a little knowledge, to be honest, at the beginning, but now that the book's finished I know a lot. So yeah, it's been very empowering, you know, to see people's story, where they started, where they are now. At times it's been quite emotional to hear what women have been through, how they've been treated, spoken to, how much they had to fight to get to where they are as well, like why. But yeah, altogether it's been amazing, and I'm really looking forward to the future of Lady of the House, and not just as the book, as the brand as well, where it is now. So yeah, it's been great.
Because it's definitely like developing, and it's just been so interesting to see how these women started and like how some of them became really big and what were the steps. Like it kind of demystifies the process. I think that was really interesting for me. And I want to ask you, Angel, when you were approached to feature in the book, like what were your first thoughts about the book and about you being interviewed? Like what were you feeling at the time?
Probably the first thing is just like what a force of nature Layla Mackenzie is. Well, like I said, I've known her for a while, and like you, Maya, she's taught me a huge amount, like in just with her knowledge and her drive and her vision. Like I have a lot of respect for her. So when she mentioned the book, I was thinking, well, if anyone's got to do it, it will be Layla. And with the help of all the team, she's done it. I'm really proud, actually, of everybody, of everyone's hard work, all the contributors, and that it's not. I can't believe I don't think a book like it's been quite done before, and just to be in the company with such amazing women like Barbara Tucker. I dropped one of her tracks last Saturday at the festival I was DJing, and it still must be. Well, it was released in 1991, so there you go. It's 30 years old, and people still go
crazy
nuts for it. You know, it's been a real learning experience, and I cannot wait to see it. And I think a book like this is vital.
100%.
Really, really fun. Someone who's more experienced like me, and like Maya's just beginning. And I was just thinking as you were speaking, what an amazing introduction.
I know.
I was just like, perfect. Really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been amazing.
It's been a really incredible journey, and you know, we just started about a year ago, and it's really like picking up quickly.
And it's nice for like all the collectives to come together and support it as well.
Yes.
Definitely.
I think that's what's important. It takes a tribe to do something like this, and I couldn't help but want to get involved, because when it comes to amplifying like women in the music place, my show, like the Spread Love show on Ujima Radio, I've had that for years, and essentially it's always been about that. It's always about providing women in a platform from across the industry as well, whether they're sound engineers, technicians, producers, DJs, do the lighting, all sorts, working in events and things like that. It was made so that people listening could think, oh, I could do that, especially women. Oh, that's how you do it. But also just to shine a light on the women that are in the industry, because it's by no mean feat that they're there, so they need to be celebrated.
Definitely. And I think that, you know, what you said, like role models and seeing women in the top positions and in the more technical positions in the music industry that are like, you know, a bit stereotypically dominated by more males, like seeing what you said, like sound engineers and tech and production, like having women there is really important for like getting the younger people and the younger women to see them and be like, oh, I can do the same thing. I have the capability to do it if I work towards it. Like, I want to ask you both, did you ever have like a kind of role model or someone in the music industry you looked up to, you know, when you were coming in?
Yeah, I call them my Earth Angels. So I've already referred to Gavin Kendricks, who just really believed in me right from the get-go. He saw something in me that I didn't see. And that first job in Ibiza lasted for 6 years, and every year I would go out there for 2 or 3 months. So for someone who's a complete beginner, to have that experience, and I'd be DJing for like 3-4 hour like chunks every day for 6 days a week, and you know, and so that was a big thing. So thank you, Gavin. I've got to say, Layla, massively, but because we started a business together and then realised we were sort of in different directions, but we always stayed in touch, and she taught me masses. I'm not a businesswoman, but everything I learned, all the insight I learned from Layla, just talking to Layla, and I never felt under any, you know, I didn't feel like ashamed or embarrassed to sit in and say like, what does this mean? What do I have to do for this? So definitely Layla. Ben Brophy is another one who's just like a cheerleader. I think it's about, I mentioned tribe before, having like a supportive tribe of people around you, people that believe in what you're doing. My husband's like amazing, Richard, bless him. He, again, saw me as a professional DJ before I did. I had a DJ agency. That's how me and Layla came together. Yeah. We were going to come together and work on parallel dimensions, and then we realised that we had sort of slightly different tastes that we made. And whilst I had the artist label, I realised I was managing all these artists, but my own bookings were coming in. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then their bookings dried up and my big bookings continued. And even then I was a bit like, so you need people around you who are supportive, that maybe have vision, and especially if you're a bit reluctant or a bit, you know, just like, oh, I can't do that, to believe in you and to guide you and to kind of steer you in the right direction, because we all know that this industry can be really cutthroat as well. It can be really harsh. I'm quite a sensitive soul. So as an HMO, you're like, you're not ruthless enough to be an agent. I was like, probably, and that's probably why I'm not anymore. But those people around you are like vital, really important.
Supporting you and just like pushing you a bit in a good way.
Yeah, and just opening up the opportunities, and that's where they come. And it's amazing once you start believing in yourself that you can do something, and then the work shows for itself. I never learned how to mix. I think it's really important for me to say this. I didn't. So I'm a selector, so I just play what I feel and I play it how I play it. I'm terrible with numbers. I'm sure I've got some sort of numeral, I can't even say it, numeral dyslexia. Yeah. So like, I'm just like, okay. But what it shows is it doesn't matter. If you've got personality, if you've got passion, if you've got the knowledge and the skill, it just goes to show I am proof. You don't need to mix with everything within an inch of your life. You can still have a full-time professional job as a DJ, and that's what I do. And I wouldn't have been able to get to this point if it hadn't been for the people around me supporting me and encouraging me and helping me to believe in myself. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
What about you, Maya? Did you ever have someone to like guide you, or someone to aspire to?
Role model in the music industry would have to be Layla.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is my first job in the music industry. Layla's took me on, she's given me an opportunity. She's given me an opportunity when I've had no experience in the industry as well, so I'm very grateful for that, of course. When I first started, she gave me some tasks and I was like, oh, are you sure you want me to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So I messed up. She's like, you can do it, babe. You can do it. Okay, so do it. I trust you. So yeah, definitely Layla Mackenzie. She's always believed in me, pushed me, encouraged me when I said, oh, I don't think I'll be able to do this. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% her drive, and yeah, just learning from, even when she's just like around you on the phone, like you're like, oh wow, I never knew that. Like yeah, she's great.
I think it's definitely like getting pushed a bit out of your comfort zone.
Massively.
Is the only way to change. Like I think change comes from being a bit uncomfortable.
100%.
In some way. Like it's never like the most enjoyable experience, but afterwards you're like, oh actually, like I've progressed because I did this task that wasn't the best experience, but it taught me, and it like
you go home
made
and you're like,
me
oh,
better.
I've done this today.
Yeah.
Like, I could do
can't
that.
believe I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
exactly.
you?
What about me? In the music industry, I think it'd have to be. I don't want to. I think it's Layla. We're gonna all I think it's Layla because, like, for me, like with Maya, it was my first job, and I got this job quite out of the blue. So basically, Layla just posted on Facebook that she wanted someone that knew about the dance music and drum and bass, and was like mixed race and knew about diversity and inclusion topics and stuff. So I just sent an email, not even like a CV, like just outlining everything I've done and who I am. And we just sort of started working a bit on some projects together, and then she took me on to work on the book. So yeah, I don't think anyone else has like helped me so much and has pushed me to go to a different level. Like if I think about myself, how I was about 10-12 months ago when I started, I was a completely different person. Like I've handled so many different situations that it's really helped me grow, and I have Layla to thank for that.
It gives you confidence about these people around you. I've got a big massive shout out to Miranda Ray from Ujima as well. He's just like another force to be reckoned with, and he's really big in radio and used to be a DJ. But she's an amazing person as well. She's always got like a really positive, like can-do attitude, and just makes things happen. I think people like Layla and Miranda, they make things happen.
Yeah, and that's what's so inspiring as well. It's like, you're talking about the other day, now you've done this. Yeah. And it's like, wow.
It shows you it's actually not that difficult. The only like limits that we have are the limits that we put on our own imaginations. You take those out, then you're just open to all sorts.
Yeah. It's so like inspiring having someone to like tell you can do this. But I wanted to ask you, Maya, a bit like from your experience, have you ever heard that women have been in a position because of how they look only, or just because they're women, and like how did that make you feel?
Yeah, I've heard loads of that in the interviews as well. It's very upsetting. Very, very upsetting. It's heartbreaking. When you hear some stories and it's like people assume that someone was, say there's a female security, someone's trying to get in a club, the female security is saying no. They said, why are you, just assuming someone,'s not the job role they're saying because they're a female. It's very unfair, and it needs to stop.
At the weekends, there's something with the sound. And before I even had a chance, this guy came over and started messing with the volumes, the master, something popped in the speaker, and I was always nervous, but I just sort of looked at him, It's like, you best back away. I'm not going to deal with you, actually, because I don't want to upset the vibe that I'm on. It's at the start of the set, I just want to enjoy it, but that is my pet peeve when men come in and don't even ask. They just start pressing things and doing things and treating me as if like I don't know. And I had Know that bit out. But again, it happens a lot, and I've learned to say, look, excuse me, I am a professional. You might do this like part time, but if I need help, I promise you, I will ask you. And if you feel that there's something not right, come up and ask me. Just talk to me. Do not take it into your own hands and start messing about with stuff. I hate it. It's really disrespectful. Right, I'm gonna get off me. What's it?
And Angel, were you always like that from the beginning, like
No.
asserting yourself back into like, you know?
Just used to get pushed about by guys all the time. Or I'd be playing and then they'd start setting up and bringing in pieces of equipment and just pulling things out in complete disregard. And it used to really annoy me. So, and especially mates, all my mates are DJs, and so take this out, do this, do that, like as if I'm invisible. Oh, you don't matter. But what we're doing is more important, and I've got so much better at saying you need to step off. This is my space, and whilst I'm here, this is my space. So if you want to come in and change something, you ask my permission to do it. You don't just come in and start, interrupting the flow, because I would never do it to them. And I think it's just a respect and a courtesy thing. I would never do that to someone else in their place of work, and I don't expect them to do that to me. So I've become. It's something that I've learned over the years. I'm quite good at it now.
It takes practice, doesn't it?
It does. I DJed recently with a really good friend of mine who came down from Sunderland, and he's I don't know. I had to tell him about himself, but in a really gentle way. Just like I know you do this, but I do this too, and you don't have to tell me what I need to do about what I'm doing for a job. Yeah. Like I know, and And he was a bit like, I'm like, yeah, because the last time we DJed it happens, and it creates fiction, because we go back to come just be a bit more respectful. They don't even know they're doing it half the time, so they need to be told. Yeah. That's what I find. And they're like, oh, really sorry. I'm like, yeah, that's all, just step back.
Exactly. Oh, there are like so many incredible women that absolutely do know what they're doing with their job. And then even when they do like a fabulous job on things, they're not like credited enough. And that was a kind of a reoccurring pattern that we saw in the Lady of the House interviews, that like women had a really significant role in either like a project, an event, maybe is a manager of someone that got really big and stuff, but was never credited, and like we haven't heard their name about before. And yeah, why do you guys think that like over the years this has been like a reoccurring theme of like, you know, black and brown women and women in general just being overshadowed?
It's like a default, I think. People just sort of go towards the men, but now we've got social media and these collectives starting, and more people are talking. And I think that's what probably a lot of people are realising, that women and women of colour, you know, we have a really important place within this. We're not just going to be consigned to the archives and stuff and just getting ready to push like one person to the front. It's all of us. The product wouldn't be what it was without all of us, especially the main people involved. It's really important.
And I think it's really important, like black and brown women essentially being celebrated with like awards in public, to like normalise having, you know, women receiving awards and being like in top positions and celebrated. Ella Fitzgerald was the first black woman to win a Grammy Award. I don't know, I think it's really important to have these kinds of awards and celebrations, even if they seem a bit formal, just to like be more in the public eye and normalise this.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. I'm from the like grassroots up, and I'm thinking of like girls in sixth form or whatever, you know, knowing, and but also at any age that whatever you achieve, you know, if it's like noteworthy and people are talking about it, should be celebrated right from the grassroots level. I started working as a DJ quite late, really, for like most people, so that's always been quite a tricky thing to like fight your through and getting this balance of the representation across the ages, but also for black and brown women as well. So all of it's considered.
I think it's really important, like we've seen the past few years lineups become more diverse. We've seen people in tech and production, like, you know, more diversity, and people from marginalised groups essentially taking up these positions in the music industry. And yeah, I don't know, but I'm really excited for the future and how it's going to look, because I've seen in the last 3-4 years so many collectives, as we mentioned, popped up, and like databases. So I don't know if you guys know about the like Black Artist Database, which is an online platform where you can basically search by genre and find like black artist producers, DJs and stuff. And I think that's a great tool as well, for making lineups more diverse, because I think one thing I used to hear a few years back was like, okay, we're going to make the lineup more diverse, but we don't know enough black techno DJs.
Yeah.
Well, now there's no like excuse to say you can go on the database and like find people, and I think that's just incredible to see initiatives like this pop up. Yeah, definitely.
I think places like She Said So as well are really good resources, and if like event organisers and festival organisers and stuff like that know where to look now, it's not an excuse not to know, because it's all
you can't find
there.
anyone, because you can't find anyone.
Exactly. Exactly. How do you guys envision the future? Like in 5-10 years, how different do you think it's going to look? Is it going to change a lot, the music industry, or are we like slowly going step by step?
I hope
Yeah.
to see more diversity, inclusion, anti-racism policies across all music organisations. I read a report the other day. It said 50% of black and brown women felt they had to kind of change their identity, whether it's the way they dress, the way they do their hair, the way they speak. So I'd love to see more black and brown women just being themselves, owning it, because that's how they should be. That's what I hope for. More initiatives, getting more recognition, because obviously a lot of people, the collectives are doing great, but we need more recognition to really push this, because there's still a lot of issues, but we're working towards it slowly. That's what I'd hope to see in the next 5 to 10 years, and just women specifically being represented to the fullest, recognised and awarded.
I think that's a really good point, like Maya makes, and it's, you know, very similar really, that there is that representation out there. But as I like the idea of people being stronger together, like their collectives, it would be great. I don't know if there is one, if there's some sort of showcase, like in Bristol, and we get all the collectives to come together and play some music, and we have like a little festival, and it's like, right, here we go. Or, you know, this is who we are, this is just a small example of what we see, and then that becomes the future. Then you got it's more 50-50 kind of parity on lineups and things like that, and not just women of colour, like you said, being themselves, you know. I don't know what people think when they look at me. I don't even know what they think that I play. I don't want to be pigeonholed, and I feel like you said, Maya, that it's just wonderful to be able to be a DJ, to select and be at who I am, rather than what people think that I am, and then start putting me like into places.
Oh, I better play this song because Like, no.
Exactly.
I'm playing this song because I want to play it and I like it.
Exactly. And for the women coming up behind me, or any women who are just thinking, right, I've had enough of what I used to do as a day job, I'm going to do this now, that they all have the representation and the coverage that they need, and the opportunity.
Really hope for that. And also I think you know, if we have more women occupying more senior positions, they can ensure that on the like grassroots and, you know, people breaking into the industry, that they can provide more opportunities, because they're in like a position with more responsibility where they're like organising things. So I think that would be really good to see, like people entering and having a sustainable career and staying in music, rather than just entering and just like fading out a few years later. I think that would be really good to see.
Yeah, and that sort of financial support over the last 2 years, with everything being as they were, like the government payouts for musicians, and I didn't get anything. You know, and then you've got one of the MPs saying, right, you know, to like retrain. I thought, well, I'm not doing that. But since May, I've been more busy now than, you know, it's been extraordinary. It's just ramped up. But it would be great in the future if there was support, not for another pandemic. I really don't want to go through that again. But there is, and maybe there is, and maybe I don't know, but it'd be great if there is more support like that, you know, from each other as well. Mental health is a massive thing, especially, you know, around the black and brown communities as well. It doesn't get talked about, doesn't get discussed as much. So it'd be great if they're more easily accessible forum support as well, because we know what these industries are like. They are exhausting. You can't look after yourself. So if there is someone who understands and, you know, can offer guidance and support, that would be really useful.
Yeah, I really hope this is all like incorporated for the future.
Yeah.
And yeah, just excited to see it happen, really.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to thank you both for joining this discussion. It's been really cool to
lovely.
chat to you both.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's also finally both to meet you in person
Yes.
as well. Thank you.
And there's
After-
so many
yeah.
emails.
Yeah, it's just nice to see the other person like physically and chat. And I'd like to thank the Plough for all their support and for hosting us today for this discussion. And a big thank you to the audience for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this chat today, which was a part of Black History Month. And you can follow our journey of Lady of the House. We aim to champion, celebrate and honour women. We hope you can pre-order a copy of the book. Yeah, we're excited to see it come out on the 11th of November. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.